We now have confirmation potentially when Ford is planning to do a redesign. Now, as I've said to you guys, for 2027, it does not look like Ford's going to be doing any refresh for their truck. So it's very possible that they're probably just banking on this design. They're banking on what they have so far. They're going to be adding some extra packages I've done in other videos, but regardless of it, I found an article on Car and Driver. They're discussing what looks to be the upcoming Ford Super Duty and F-150 and potential powertrain options. So let's go ahead and check it out. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure bell notification on. Let's discuss this. The next generation Ford F-150 and Super Duty will arrive by 2029. The Ford F-150 is a mainstay in the American automotive landscape. Ford's full-size pickup trucks have been the best-selling vehicles in the United States for decades, and the F-Series lineup once again topped the charts last year with 828,832 units sold. Keeping the F-150 up to date is crucial for Ford, and now the company has revealed that the next-generation truck will arrive by 2029. So that's really good news, I guess you could say, because we've been asking, like, when are they going to be doing a refresh, which if they're waiting until 2029, it does not look like they're going to be adding a refresh to the current Super Duty trucks. Now, if you don't remember, the Ford F-150 got a refresh for the 2024 model year, so they have done some nice updates to that truck. Now, the article goes on to say the announcement came as Ford launched a new division called Product Creation and Industrialization, which it says will deliver one of the most intensive product, software, and services rollouts in Ford's history. This new group will lead Ford's plans to refresh 80% of its North American lineup by volume and 70% of its global lineup by volume. Stay till the end. I want to discuss the software and services because this is kind of why you guys have seen me personally build my truck, right? I've been doing a lot of things to basically bulletproof it, and it's not just for myself, but to really help you guys out. I know some of you guys have also gotten the gist on what's been happening. So you guys know that emissions is going to start to really become more stringent. They're still finding ways to make it almost impossible to unlock the ECMs, which again, I don't understand why they would do that. But regardless of it, this software and services thing is another trick that will continue to make buying new trucks just not a good idea, and I'll explain why here in a second. But the article goes on to say, along with the F-150, this major overhaul will also include the next generation F-Series Super Duty trucks, as well as the mid-size pickup truck that will ride on the universal EV platform that Ford announced last fall. This EV truck promises to be roughly the size of a Maverick, but with the cabin space of a compact SUV. Ford is also touting a highly efficient powertrain, a new zonal architecture that consolidates the number of central processing units needed, and a new unicasting production process. So hopefully that means trucks will be a little bit cheaper, right? The universal EV platform is just the beginning of big changes across Ford's lineup, with the automaker stating that by 2030, 90% of Ford's vehicles by volume will have new electrical architectures and next generation over-the-air update capabilities. This will be key to the continued rollout and improvement of Blue Cruise, Ford's hands-free driver assistance system, as the company progresses toward level 3 autonomous driving. Electrical architecture. So this is something you have to really keep your mind on in these next coming years. You guys know that manufacturers, Ram just recently updated theirs for the Ram trucks, the Atlantis architecture. It's been a challenge for them. I mean, really not for them, I would say, really for the people buying the trucks, because they've had issues with the system. So with Ford, hopefully they're going to roll it out better, because obviously the pickups is their bread and butter. The last thing they want is to have issues with their electrical architecture. That is a big play here, and hopefully Ford will have it figured out better than what Ram did. And you guys can see here, like with the Blue Cruise, hands-free driving systems, I get it. This is something that the manufacturers want to continue to put money in, but are these systems really worth it? Because all they're going to do is make these trucks more expensive. And that's why I've always had an issue with all this self-driving stuff. I like the idea of it, but it's just going to drive the cost up, and most people won't use these systems. Now, Ford also said that nearly 90% of Ford's models worldwide will offer electrified powertrains by 2030, including traditional hybrids, EVs, and range extender hybrids. The F-150 will undoubtedly be included in this electrified lineup. The F-150 already offers a hybrid powertrain, and the Lightning is confirmed to be returning as a range extender plug-in hybrid. Otherwise, details are sparse on what to expect from the next generation F-150. We're sure Ford won't stray too far from its current formula, given the F-Series dominance in the sales chart, but the next generation Chevy Silverado coming in 2027 will likely force Ford to make some upgrades to remain competitive. This is what happens when the competitors aren't competitive. See, right now, I would say that GM is always kind of lagged behind Ford and Ram. So when it comes down to the horsepower and torque wars, they don't really get involved in those as much, because whenever they come out with new horsepower torque numbers, they're either slightly better or in the middle, right? And that's kind of where they are right now. But with Ram has kind of been asleep at the wheel, and I get it. They've had a lot of issues with the merger with Peugeot. Stellantis, I won't say it has been a negative for Ram. I know some people will say that the Fiat Chrysler merger back in, 2009, people say that it was bad for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and I strongly disagree. I think that if you go back in time and look at how much advanced, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram has gotten. I won't include Chrysler. Chrysler has kind of been a dying car company, and I think personally they should have put it out of its misery a long time ago. But again, it's just my opinion. But really, Dodge, think about what Dodge did back in the 2010s. They really brought a lot of fun and really created a lot of hype in the muscle car realm. The Jeep brand from, 2011, 12, somewhere in there. When they did the refresh on it, it was absolutely a game changer for Jeep. Like, I would say that Grand Cherokee saved Jeep. And of course, with Ram, in 2019, that was the defining moment for not just the HDs, but also for the half tons. It was the first time we've seen a Ram truck actually make a huge wave. Like, people from Toyota was coming over and buying Ram trucks. I remember seeing a lot of Toyota Tundra trade-ins because people wanted the Ram 1500s. And when Ram came out with the high output Cummins with 1,000 pound-feet of torque, 420 horsepower back in 2019, it really shook the truck world. Again, Ram was stealing a lot of market share from its competitors. And so Ford responded in 2020 with the PowerStroke having 475 horsepower, up from 440, I believe. I could be wrong. You have to go and look. And I think 925 pound-feet of torque for 2017, because I think they upped the horsepower and torque on the second generation 6.7 PowerStroke. And then 1,050 pound-feet of torque. So the only thing that Ford didn't really have in 2020 was the interior. So in 2022, they added the larger 12-inch display, and that really helped give the interior that more look that people were going for, because Ram had the big 12-inch screen and they just had a phenomenal interior. But from 2019 till 2025, Ram hasn't really done much. They've done minor things here and there, but the only standout thing they've done right now is just add the 8-speed transmission behind the Cummins, and that was a really good success. But they're still running the same cabs, beds. They have the smallest bed in the HD segment. So they have just been asleep at the wheel, and GM does not really bring a ton of competitiveness when it comes down to Ford. Although I will say GM is very competitive, it's just they're not going to push Ford to make drastic changes like Ram did back in 2019. Just being honest. This is where the defining moment comes right now. GM is obviously not looking to do any updates until 2028 for their HD trucks, and this looks to be true for Ford. Ford likes to wait and see what everyone else does and just come in at the top again. So I don't know. I wish that there was more updates. I definitely noticed that it's kind of hard even for me doing reviews on trucks right now because there's not a lot of changes. So I have to find other ways to do videos simply because of the stale competition that we have. And that's why I do wish Toyota and Nissan would come together and build a HD truck to shake up the market. We need a fix right now because there's just nothing out there that's like really stand out. And in closing, I hate these software and services. Like, this is another way to control the consumer, right? We didn't ask for these things. I don't think a lot of truck guys want self-driving. Like, I could care less about my truck driving me, especially if I'm towing a trailer. If I'm towing 15,000 pounds behind me, I'm not going to depend on a system in my truck to help maneuver that. I'm just not going to do it. So for me personally, I don't like the way the manufacturers are going. It looks like they're trying to control the consumers, and obviously that's from the top, because I read an article to you guys and how the EPA, how they're trying to continue to make it harder and harder to unlock ECMs. So they don't want people tuning these trucks, whether it be gas or diesel. So these are just some things you have to consider when you do your research. I think that as of right now, Ford is definitely on top, and they're kind of just riding the wave right now. A lot of people have been asking for a refreshed truck because some people didn't like the redesigned pickup. And I will admit, the 2022 Ford was probably the best looking HD truck on the market at the time. I think that even for me owning a Ram back then, I really liked the Ford 2020 to 2022 exterior styling, especially when it had the fender flares, the trimmer truck, 100% one of the best looking pickup trucks at the time. And I think right now GMC probably might have the best looking truck. And I would say Chevy has the most aggressive styling on their front ends. But as of right now, I think Ford, with their powertrains, with what they offer for packaging, the way that they package their trucks, they're just a hard truck to beat right now. Ram is definitely up there. And you guys, you watch my videos, I do believe that Rams do have the best towing pickups. I've towed with all these trucks before in the past. But the competition goes to Ford. Like, they are the most competitive. And if I had to buy a truck right now, I've already owned a Ram, I've already owned a GM product. There's nothing that stands out with those products that I would want to go and buy another one. So I would definitely go to a Ford truck right now. There's nothing on the market right now that makes sense for me to buy other than Ford, because it's the only one I haven't owned. And I like the way they package their trucks, and I like the way that they, offer off-road packages too. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. As I said, the software and services crap is a sure way to keep me from buying a truck in the future. I don't want autonomous driving. I don't want it. So keep your systems, make it an option as a package that we don't have to have. I don't want new architecture for the electrical systems to make it even harder to tune them and do upgrades on them, right? You guys know with Bakes, they just released the cold air intake for the GMC and Chevy HDs for 25 plus trucks, because from 24 to 25, they made changes to it. So again, why do they keep making these changes on these trucks to make them more harder to work on, to make them less reliable, and to make them just cumbersome when you do have issues in the future electrically? Then you don't know where to start because there's so many systems. So again, this is the perfect time to buy a truck, is what I'm trying to say. I think if you're in the market, right now is the time, and buy it, hold it, and if you like what you see in the future, great. If not, at least you can keep what you have and just make it bulletproof. See you guys in the next video.